So, after reading the material that we were asked to read, language learning and perfectionism, anxious and non-anxious language learners. So, as a student who is learning a second language, that second language is ASL, as you all know. Pretty much the material talks about perfectionism and being a perfectionist and other students who label themselves as the complete opposite or not quite the opposite, but they weren't as anxious when performing than their other peers. So, for very anxious students, very, type A personality students, and then you have, people more on the other side of the spectrum. Now, when I was reading this, I did take notes. I even drew my little continuum. It's kind of, the far left is, the I don't care personality, and then on the far right is the perfectionist personality. So, kind of drew arrows going both directions. And then I kind of, almost like a T-chart, well, not even a T-chart, just to put a line down the paper and do like a compare contrast kind of deal. Just so I can put everything more into perspective. So, I'll get to the point eventually. So the I don't care personality. I don't care. Period. It's not a part of my agenda. Doesn't pertain to anything that's life and death to me. I'm not going to put forth any effort because I don't care. The other side of the spectrum, it's more of give it all or none. But I'm going to give it all because I'm a perfectionist and that's what I do. I just give them my all the time, 100%. Let's do this. And I feel that kind of mindset, it gives that individual a higher level of anxiety in all areas of life. Socially, academically, it can just ruin you. It can really affect your health. People who don't care so much or at all, they're like, I'm fine. This is good. I don't care. Just la-di-da. But when it comes to working, when it comes to learning another language, you want to find this happy medium. You don't want to be so much a perfectionist that, some of them, they're just overly critical on their work. They have low productivity. And that came from what I just did. This isn't right. This isn't perfect. This isn't good enough. It's never good enough. So low productivity. So they didn't turn things in on time, or I don't think they did it, but they couldn't turn it in because they're still trying to fix out every little kink. That's not good. You can't need to just accept things and turn them in. And realize that you're not perfect. When it came to their test scores, their performance evaluations, they complained more, they compared themselves more, like they could have done better, etc., etc. Just a lot of negative self-talk. They realized their mistakes just like the people who have lower levels of anxiety. The people who have lower levels of anxiety, they saw their mistakes and went, okay, I made mistakes. I know what I can do better, and now I'm going to build upon this, and I'm going to get better. The people who are perfectionists, they're more negative. They're like, I could have done better, I should have done this, I didn't do that, why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that? And they also have a lot of self-defeating self-talk, which is just not good. It's not good for anyone. So, finding that happy medium is definitely something to go for. It's definitely a goal of mine. there are times throughout this program that it's more of the later parts of the program that I was just like, I don't care. I have other things to think about. I don't care. I'll get around to it. If I don't get around to it, oh well. And then there are other times I'm like, this is more towards the ASL classes, by the way. I need to do this. I need to make sure it's done 100% perfect all the time. I have no life. This is it. So for the past 4 years, I've kind of evolved. I've kind of found this, still trying to achieve this goal of this nice little happy medium. The little ball kind of changes a little bit. It depends on the day. Depends on a lot of things. So for me, I'm not a perfectionist. At one point when I think it comes from when I was a kid, I was like, I had a lot of stress on me. For some reason, I have a lot of testing anxiety. I had a lot of it as a child. You must pass the tax test. You must, because your performance, how you do as a student, in like the 3rd grade, 4th grade, like elementary school, middle school, so on and so on, your grade, your score, will determine if I have a job. And if I don't have a job, my life is ruined for the time being. My boss, the principal, wouldn't like to see low test scores, so all the students must be perfect. We must be 100% at the time. So kind of growing up in schools like that kind of mess with you a bit mentally. So having a lot of stress issues growing up, a lot of anxiety issues, a lot of nights crying and carrying on and trying to do your best and feeling like you're going nowhere, you kind of learn after a while to just say like, okay, I can't do it 100%, but how much can I give? So you kind of have to determine, how much can you give? Are you willing to give 100%? Are you able to give 100%? If not, what are you willing to settle for? And if you have more of that type A personality, which I tend to have, but I kind of dwindle it down to kind of like a B plus. You're not quite A, you're not quite B, you're kind of there. Like B negative, B positive. Some weird blood type. You kind of have to let go. You kind of have to kind of suck it up and be like, I can't be perfect. I can't be that star student. I'm human. I am human. This is not my first language. And even then, with my first language, I still suck at it. I am surprised I passed the TEP. And even then, y'all should see that score. Your jaw will drop. You're like, and you passed? If you were to see how I write, you're like, you passed the TEP. Okay. I think it's kind of funny. It's not really negative self-talk. It's more of, I mean, I guess it is. But I don't know how to explain it. I just find it amusing. Because number one, I'm not an avid reader. I haven't been an avid reader since I was 10. I don't know. You kind of grow up in like American society. Nobody knows how to speak proper English, and what do they give you on a standardized test? They give you what's supposed to be the standard. What you read on these tests, it's not a standard. At least not where I grew up. It's not standard. Yeah. So, how I relate to this, again, it kind of depends, how much am I willing to give? I would like to say, I'm a perfectionist. I like to do everything perfect. But I don't. And she this is the homework. I want to do my homework. This is what I'm going to put down on this paper. And if it's not good enough for the teacher, well, it's not good enough for the teacher, but it was good enough for me, and I thought I deserved a grade. And I got a grade. If the grade meets, my expectations, that's great. If it doesn't, well, I'm going to talk to the teacher and be like, hey, I deserve a better grade. But most of the time, I'm pretty satisfied with my grades. And if I see a C or a D somewhere, then I kind of think, did I really put forth my effort on that? No, my bad. So then you gotta do better next time. It's all about, not really being perfect, but just improving. So realizing you can't be perfect, but you can improve. Um, so that's that. I can tell you more about how I evolved from being perfectionist to not caring so much to caring enough, and then caring just a little bit more about what I do. So, there you go. It's my video. Language learning and perfectionism. Anxious and non-anxious language learners.